TRC Executive Secretary says efforts to bring remaining junglers to testify fails. Nigeria records rapid growth in digital payments during COVID-19. South Africa plans to focus on green economy post-COVID-19. This and more coming on The World Today. Hello, this is The World Today newscast with me, Mariama Cham, and thanks for joining us. As the public anticipate hearing testimonies from the remaining junglers, Babagale Jallow, the TRC's executive secretary, says the commission's effort to bring the remaining junglers, including Rambo and others, to testify failed. It could be recalled that these said junglers who carried out most of the atrocities and human rights violations,
whose names have been frequently mentioned before the TRC, will also come and give their testimony. However, in an interview with iAfrica TV, Babagale Jallow, the executive secretary of the TRC, said the commission has done efforts to make sure that the said junglers testify, but to no avail.
Certainly, we have a lot of evidence from the junglers who testified here, Oya and Malik Jata and others. They came and they testified and they confessed to many of the crimes that were committed by the junglers. So we would have loved to have Junglers Part 2, and that would have been based on the testimonies of a key witness, this guy, Bailo. Unfortunately, as we know, Bailo was arrested by the German authorities, so he's under custody, he's not available to testify now. We have been making attempts to reach out to junglers in Guinea-Bissau without success. We have reached out to junglers in Senegal and Casamance. With our success, Malik Manga and Bombarde and so on and so forth. They are in Senegal and Mauritania. We made a lot of efforts to bring them or to have them testify via video link. That has not been possible. And so I'm not sure we will have Junglers Part 2, even though we wanted very much to have that.
At the end of its mandate, the TRC is expected to make recommendations for those found guilty to face the law. Mr. Jallow said it will be a disappointment and a betrayal of trust for both the Commission workers and Gambians if the government fails to implement the recommendations.
Well, our mandate is to make findings and recommendations and submit it to the government. Now, what we expect to see and what the victim community expects to see and what the great majority of Gambians and the international community expect to see is for the government to implement the recommendations that come out of the TRC. I think that is what we expect to see. If anything else happens, that's not the expectation. That would be, I think, a betrayal of the trust of both the Commission workers and the country. So we expect that the government is going to implement the recommendations of the Commission.
Meanwhile, since all these crucial acts happened during the presidency of Yahya Jammeh, Gambians are with the confidence that the main alleged perpetrator will appear before the Commission. Dr. Jallow, however, clears the air about the issue.
I'm not sure about that. I don't think he will appear. Even if we invited him, I'm not sure he will appear. Or if he appeared, he would be a very aggressive witness. I'm sure he will not cooperate. He would trust the Commission. I mean, I'm not, reading his mind, but judging from his temperament, I don't think that his appearance would add any great value to the evidence we already have. So I don't know what the Commission's decision is going to be, whether to send him an invitation or send him a subpoena to appear by video link, but I don't think he will, honestly.
The TRC is an independent Gambian institution with a mandate to conduct research and investigations into human rights violations committed under the presidency of Yahya Jammeh. After thorough investigations, the Commission is expected to submit reports and recommendations to the government for implementation. Reporting for iAfrica News, I am Daisy C.
Now the Ethiopian government is seeking for more powers from the country's legislative body to pursue against the rival forces to country against government in the country. The move came after the country's Council of Ministers issued a statement indicating that the TPLF and other rival groups have been categorized as terrorist organizations. Some experts believe the decision will boost the Prime Minister's quest to restore peace in the East African country. More in this report.
A statement released after the Ethiopian Council of Ministers decided to categorize both the Tigray People's Liberation Front, TPLF, and Shane as terrorist organizations reads, and I quote, "This decision will become applicable to organizations and individuals who collaborate, have links with, or relate to the ideas and actions of the designated terrorist organizations and others who have engaged in similar activities," end of quote. And once approved by the parliament, this will give the government additional powers and legal ground to hunt down these groups and bring them to justice. The government claims attacks on civilians seen in the country over the last 3 years were either sponsored or plotted by TPLF and Shane. Shane likes to call itself the Oromo Liberation Army. In 2020, Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed ordered a crackdown against the TPLF after the group attacked the Ethiopian army. Some experts said the latest decision has the potential of assisting the Prime Minister to win the war against groups that are said to disrupt peace and stability of the nation. On the other hand, some also warn Addis Ababa should take extra precautionary measures while implementing the law to avoid any human rights violations in the process.
And South African authorities are initiating new measures to save the country's economy after it was adversely battered by COVID-19 pandemic. The government wants to focus on green economies such as waste recycling, renewable energy generation, and among others to revise the economy downturn. Despite the new plans, some analysts are of the view that the government needs to do more to overcome its economic challenges. Details in this report.
The country's environment minister says the plan promotes waste recycling, renewable energy generation, revitalizing the ecotourism and forestry sectors, and retrofitting government buildings to improve climate resilience and save on water and energy consumption.
We are running out of resources, are not finite, so we need to make the best use of it as far as possible. And on the other end, disposal sites are few and far between, and it's becoming more and more costly and onerous to actually operate them, run with them, and send materials to disposal sites. And we're losing a lot of value and good sense out of products that's being manufactured.
Government efforts are focused on decreasing plastic waste and increasing the recycling of plastics.
Recycling itself has not quite worked as what it was expected to do. And hence, recycling is not out of the circular economy, but it's actually on the outermost loop of it. So we need to get the best sort of use of products that are manufactured, whether it's locally, internationally, or wherever.
There's been lots of discussion amongst analysts about the circular economy and its possible impact on South Africa's economic growth. But it needs a catalyst.
And one of the key things that's coming to the fore now is actually the extended producer responsibility legislation that's coming to the fore as recent as the 5th of May of 2021. And that will actually become mandatory on any sort of packaging producer or anyone that imports it, to actually ensure that they actually take care of any sort of products that is brought in, and that there would be a levy that needs to be paid onto it to ensure that there's better collection of the material and better use of it once it has seen its sort of end of life as such.
Moving to the circular economy is not going to be a straightforward exercise. It's an ongoing project.
It's still very much a document under discussion. There would obviously be areas of, let's say some industries would be a lot harder hit in terms of being able to need to change to it because of vested interest that may be there. But if one takes the holistic picture in terms of what needs to be done, then yes, it's a much needed initiative that needs to be followed through.
Saving the planet is everybody's responsibility and everybody has to get involved.
Now, the former flag bearer of Gambia Action Party, GAP, has on Monday registered a new political party after regaining strength from a scandal that threatened his political career. The move comes 10 months after a nude video portraying his image went viral on social media. Bojang's party becomes the 19th political party registered in the Gambia. Binta Jallow reports.
After months of struggling to clear his image on social media, Mr. Lamin Bojang bounces back with a new political party called Alliance for National Reorientation and Development. The party is formally registered with the Independent Electoral Commission on Monday, 3rd May 2021. The party's color is orange and its symbol is a bundle of harvested rice with a motto of justice, freedom and development. Speaking to journalists after the official registration, Mr. Bojang said, "Life is all about taking risk and the past can't end his career."
If you do not take risk in life, it means you do not exist. Yes, pundits would have said that my political career would have come to a stop. But I guess, like it is said in our local languages, in the military it is often said that withdrawal is another phase of life. Phase of war. That was just hibernation. We went into hibernation just to make sure that we prepare ourselves better. We thought there were better, times, there were better ways to do stuff, and we have learned our lesson. Some will say that we've learned our lesson in a bitter way. Yes, we've learned our lessons in a bitter way, but this time around, I think we are better educated with the experience to be able to, huddle through now better.
Bojang advised Gambians to be aware of the leaders they will choose in the future.
The Gambian people they must watch and be very, very careful who comes to them to talk to them about politics in this country. I think we are tired of the politics of deception. I think we are tired of politics of lying. I think we are tired of that type of politics of, expressing tribal sentiments. What we want Gambian people to understand is that let them take note of ANRD. Let them take note of ANRD. We are out to solve their problems. We are out to solve their problems. And we are telling Gambians that anybody who comes to you, watch the person. Let them not be those type of politicians who are out there to enrich themselves.
General Bojang said the current president knows nothing of what he is doing as he lacks the experience.
Like what we have today, the current president in this country is clueless because he has never had any experience in this country. He has no work experience. He has no job experience. Sometimes smart people will learn on the job. But for him, he has no job experience. He is not learning on the job, and that is why Gambia is sinking every day.
Gambians are expected to go back to the polls in December 2021. Bojang's party becomes the 19th political party registered in the Gambia ahead of the much anticipated presidential election. In 2016, only 9 political parties were registered before the coalition was formed, excluding other independent candidates. For iAfrica News, Binta Jallow.
Bojang's party will be the 18th party instead of 19. We will now go with a short break and be right back with the rest of the news. Stay with us.
The pride we take in our brand, the work we put into constantly change the landscape and elevate real estate in the Gambia, it's compared to none. From inception, our goal was to add value to the beautiful Gambian landscape. That's why we are proud innovators of community estates. Kololi Sands is an exceptional piece of work, tailored for ultimate convenience and luxury, to bring you an element of finesse that is rare but unique in its own. This is also our pride and joy, and we welcome you to the exquisite beauty right here in Kololi and right here on the waterfront. Kololi Sands, feel the ocean breeze at your doorstep.
Welcome back and still on the Wall Today newscast. Nigeria, like any other African countries, has seen a significant increase in digital money transaction thanks to the outbreak of the coronavirus in 2020. Many Nigerians adopted the online money business when government imposed measures that limits the movement of goods and services. The West African state registered over $1 trillion in value of electronic payment according to the interbank settlement system. Here is more in this report.
Olaiwola Fashuba is a home and furniture designer in Nigeria's capital, Abuja. Payment transactions used to be a challenge for him, from sourcing cash for procurements to making bank trips. But now electronic payment is saving him a great deal.
I use e-payments mainly for all my transactions. I use e-payments for comfort. I could be at home and I pay somebody in a different state, so I don't need to walk all the way to meet the person or walk to the bank.
E-payment platforms in Nigeria have continued to flourish. Martin Olajide runs an e-payment gateway known as QuidPay. Many turn to online payment platforms like his at the peak of the COVID-19 pandemic. QuidPay's daily transactions have grown from 12,000 to as much as 50,000. That with an international spread.
We grew 700% during COVID. And if you know the problems to adoption of technology around here, it was always a problem of trust. And because people had choices, I could go somewhere to buy something and present cash. But during COVID, that opportunity was not there. A lot of us were forced to even get our groceries online, And because of that, there was that adoption. And then people's propensity to consume online services increased.
According to statistics from the Nigerian Interbank Settlement System, NIBSS, the value of electronic payment in Nigeria rose from $403.65 billion in 2019 to more than $1.73 trillion in 2020. That's about 325% growth.
It's definitely growing because of the increasing needs of people around pace, around ease of doing business, and because of the increasing adoption of technologies in the way we do things. But beyond that, it's also add that it's equally very important for security checks, for security controls, around it, to be improved, because we see how criminals pervert that process most of the time.
The Central Bank of Nigeria adopted the cashless policy in January of 2012, but it's been plagued with challenges of quality service delivery and cybersecurity gaps that need to be closed. Experts are optimistic that the electronic payment landscape in Nigeria will grow further as Nigerians continue to embrace e-payment as a worthwhile alternative.
Now, former Magistrate Patrick Gomez told the Truth Commission that he feared for his safety after tinted vehicles were spotted around his home while he was away and had to spend the night at his friend's house. The incident happened a few days after he acquitted and discharged a taxi driver of murder, which was not welcomed by the authorities and the then Chief Justice Emmanuel. He narrated how he was later treated, including his subsequent transfer to up countries. More in this report.
Lawyer Patrick Gomez was a first-class magistrate at Cardiff Magistrate Courts when he passed a judgment in which he discharged and acquitted a taxi driver accused of killing a person, but instead put the responsibility on the military. He says the judgment didn't go down well with the authorities, including Chief Justice Emmanuel Fambele. He says few days later, his father observed some strange things around his home.
My dad called me. Yes, my papa called me and asked where I was. And I said I was with my friend. But I'm about to come back home. And then he said to me that they noticed a vehicle around the compound. Which had no number plate. But it was tinted. And so they were worried. But I said to them that, well, it could be any vehicle. And so maybe they were just worried because of the fact that they were scared of what might happen.
He had to spend the night at his friend's house because he feared for his safety. Lawyer Gomez says he was later summoned to Chief Justice Fambele's office and he now recounts what happened there.
I sat down and then the Chief Justice at the time just rose. Chief Justice he had newspapers from different outlets. Because in the morning, most of the newspapers had already published the outcome of the case, the judgment. So he was not pleased at all. So he started telling me that look what you have done. See the headlines in all these newspapers. Words like yes.
As per your statement, you said the CJ was furious. Is that correct?
That's correct.
He says Chief Justice did not like the way he had administered justice, and as a result, he was transferred to Esau as a traveling magistrate. He now explains the reason behind his transfer.
Even though the JS at the time gave me his own reason as to why I was transferred. My own reasoning was that I was transferred because I was currently working in a jurisdiction wherein so many high-profile cases may come to. And so the Chief Justice at the time wouldn't want me to actually serve as a hindrance towards his interests.
Lawyer Gomez says former Chief Justice Emmanuel Fambele used to wear Jambe paraphernalia and would sometimes ask people to write their names on the list of people that would go and farm at the President's Kanilai farm. For iAfrica TV, this is Omar Ahmadou Toure reporting.
Well, Dr. A report by Omar Toure brings us to the end of the World Today newscast. I am Mariama Cham. Thanks for watching and bye for now.